Yo, what's up, guys? This is gonna be um Mob Psycho episode 5 to episode 8. So this is a bit of a catch-up one. So it's gonna be quite brief, I would say. So in episode 5, we see that Mob is just Mob is just a regular. Wait, what was it? Oh yeah. So in episode 5, Mob is in the dream world, and in this one, he's just a regular guy, and he doesn't have any psychic powers, but he still gets bullied by everyone. And I quite like the filter they use. It really sets the atmosphere because it feels like he's stuck in some hell. The whole like retro look as well. It probably gave a good atmosphere to the whole wait, something on my thing desk, to the whole concept of him being stuck inside a dream. So I like the filter they used for that. That was pretty good. And then it wasn't really shown, but there's a cat. When they're bullying Mob outside, and they don't really show what happens to the cat. But I guess what's implied is the cat gets killed, and this is the part where Mob gets beaten up by the bullies. But then but this is the part where bear in mind that Mob's, in terms of the dream world, he's been there for like a few months, so he's fully immersed in that lifestyle and that world. But this is the part where Mob just snaps, right, and just starts beating them. I don't know what he does. It's like a cutscene. All of a sudden, he's the one like threatening everyone. And then, oh my god, I thought the Asagi-chan was such a scum because she turned so easily on him. So she was bullying Mob, and then as soon as Mob has the advantage, she's just like, oh, please spare me. And then as soon as Mob gets hit in the back of the head, she's like, yeah, scum. So she changes so fast. I thought that was a bit annoying. Just shows how quickly a person changes. But Dimple, the MVP right now, he comes through, and the reason he can come through was because what the ex-Claw member gives him an assist with in terms of spiritual power to get through the barrier. And he comes in and he snaps Mob out of this dream, really. So, and then this is the part where Mob regains his self, which he was before he entered this world, and then he gains his composure and everything, which is pretty cool. And then Mob starts to he has a big fight. This is the start of the epic fight against Mogami-san. That was pretty cool, And then like the whole world, it's all like basically the whole world is the enemy, and you just see all these spirits coming out and flying and trying to attack Mob. But yeah, and I thought the animation for the whole fight was pretty sick. I thought like I quite enjoy the animation style that always happens in these fights, where everything, obviously the detail and the art style gets a bit, it gets a bit questionable, but it's to do with to make everything look smooth and fluid. So I understand why they do it. But I thought the animation was really good there, because everything looks so liquidy, like it feels like it flows so well, and quite like the art direction that they take as well, with all the spirits and the lava and stuff. It was pretty cool. It's quite a spectacle to behold. So then, so we finally see Mob go 100, right? And then the question that Mogami asks is, "Who are you?" And I thought that was like, "Oh, it's just Mob." And then we see Dimple say as well, and I thought that was pretty funny. It was like Dimple was like, "Yo, who is this guy?" Actually, that was pretty funny. And then obviously not even 100% Mob could actually take on Mogami in this state, and it ends up losing, like even in 100% form, right? But as he's losing, Mob goes into the question mark state, right? And he just wins instantly, and that's the end. And then Mogami says something before he leaves the body, I guess. He says something like so I see this is what the true vessel is. Now the vessel has shattered. I see this is what you truly are. So that's kind of mysterious and ominous, because I want to know more about the exclamation mark form now. more about Mob as a psychic. So that was pretty cool. Little cool exposition at the end. And then Mob gets quite a lot of character development throughout this episode, really, because then from what he experienced, the hell he experienced within those 3 months and stuff, or 3 to 6, like a few months, I forgot the exact days. He learned that he learned to appreciate the people around him, because he realizes that that's what helps him, and that's what makes him who he is. To be honest, like his brother, his friends at school, his family, that they're who makes him who he is. And then so with that, that's the end of the whole Mogami fight. But then we see the ex-claw member actually trap Mogami as he's coming out, as he's getting exercised. And then with that, that's the conclusion of the fight, really. But this is like the most powerful enemy that Mob has faced up to date, so that was pretty crazy actually. So then we see Asagi-chan, like she's talking to her dad at the hospital, and then they're just like talking about how Mob saved her, but is this dad's like, yeah, we didn't even hire any high school students to come anyway, so we don't even know who he is. But then they find out something quite funny actually. They find the cult for like the Mob's cult, and they end up sending them a massive donation. So that was pretty cool. And I guess that's like an overarch. I guess that could have some different consequences later on, but we'll find out. That was it for episode 5. So in episode 6, right? The episode 6 has a big focus on Mob and Reagan. So with obviously with Mob developing as a character, with appreciating people around him, he starts hanging out with his friends, right? And this is the first time where Mob actually declines Reagan. Because like usually Mob just follows Reagan around, but I guess Mob's like starting to stand on his own 2 feet. He's becoming more independent. So then Mob and Reagan have a chat, and then obviously Reagan is still trying to use him and tries to manipulate Mob into helping him, and he makes him try to turn it against his friends. But Mob understands that what Reagan is saying is wrong, so it's like no, and they kind of have a fallout, and they don't really talk for a while. So we get like a montage of time passing with Mob and Reagan doing their own things, but this is where we learn that Reagan actually needs Mob more than Mob needs him, because it's always been the other way around, but this is like the first time it's this way around. And then we kind of, I don't know, we kind of get a more deeper dive into the character of Reagan. It turns out he's quite a lonely character, you know. Like he lives by himself, he doesn't really have any friends and stuff like that. And you see him go to a bar with his supposedly friends, where he just like touch rubbish to these people and they get happy. But despite that, Reagan gets a chance to go on TV, and I guess increase his sales of being a psychic to the next level. So he's quite excited for that. But I got a bad feeling about that, because in Mob Psycho 7 episode 7, Reagan goes on TV, right? But it turns out he's been set up by the other psychic, the head psychic, because for payback for getting kneed by Reagan in the last arc, I guess. Yeah, the way they set him up is they just had some actor pretend to be possessed, and then Reagan makes a fool out of himself trying to exercise him, but you can't exercise someone who isn't possessed, can you? That's pretty funny. But it was kind of embarrassing for Reagan, and Reagan kind of becomes like a meme as such. So that's pretty cool. And he kind of gets like publicly humiliated and stuff. But yeah, I felt kind of bad for Reagan, and he doesn't really have anyone either. And he gets a bit depressed and stuff. But then even the paparazzi start stirring up to his house, but he has enough, and he does a press conference. But the reason for the press conference is actually to send a message to Mob, which was pretty cool, which was quite heartwarming actually. He goes, "So you've grown up quite a lot," and I thought that was pretty. It was pretty heart touching. I won't lie. So we get like the whole flashback of Mob as well, of how Mob and Reagan met. With the, it's quite typical of how the two characters actually meet anyway. And then we get the, and then halfway through the press conference, we see everything getting floated in the air, levitating and stuff. And this kind of makes Reagan out like he's some psychic. We obviously know who that person pulling the strings is. Is obviously Mob. And then Mob and Reagan meet again, which is pretty cool. And I guess it's a bit awkward because they've fallen out for a bit. And this is probably one of the best lines I've heard from the series, where Reagan, he understands that he's been a scum, and he asks Mob like, Mob, do you know? It's like, do you know what? Do you know what I am? And then I guess I got double fainted because when Mob goes, yes, 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 Sensei, I've always known what you are. I assumed he was gonna say, I've always known what kind of guy you've been, something like that. But he actually beat my expectation of what he was gonna say. Instead, what he says is, you've always been a good guy, and that line was such a good line. It actually hit close to home. Actually, I loved it. It gave me the feels, like super feels. And then in Mob Psycho 100 Chapter 8, I thought this was gonna be a slice of the life episode, but little did I know what was coming up. So Mob has a goal in mind where if he comes in top 10, he's gonna ask his crush Suboni-chan out. So he works really hard to train for this marathon to get so he can accomplish his goal. And you see all the support that Mob has now. We got the body improvement club helping out. We got the what's it called? I don't know the guy's name, but the guy with the delinquent haircut, that guy helps him out by giving him trainers. So yeah, there's a little montage of Mob training. That was pretty cool. And then we also get we also get quite a new circumstance where Reagan, because obviously Mob's busy, he instead has a substitute with Mob's brother and the blonde hair kid. I forgot the names, but that's what I'm gonna call him, the blonde hair kid. And then and then Reagan has an interesting guest indeed. So his customer is no other than Suboni-chan and her friend, right? So Mob's brother has to hide because he doesn't want Suboni-chan to know that Mob is associated with this kind of like program or business, right? So he hides in a corner, and then when his Reagan's giving what's it called, relationship advice, I think Suboni-chan actually notices that Mob. She notices anyway that this guy is associated with Mob anyway. So that's some new information that she knows now. Oh my god. So during the actual marathon, like we can see Mob trying so hard, right? And you just see his face, his determination is so great. It's actually ridiculous how good his determination is. But he ends up passing out, so he kind of fails anyway. And I thought that was going to be the end of the episode, right? And they go home and eat. But no, something really juicy happens, I thought this was going to be slice of life kind of filler episode, but no. Mob Psycho 100 completely changes what happens next. So then, I remember there was that sidekick guy at the end of season 1. He was kind of like the strong sidekick, like the kid-looking guy. And he, guess who goes to Mob's house? It's him. And what he does, right? It's pretty crazy. So we see like a little cutscene of him, right? And that's about it. And then so Mob goes home, right? And then he sees his house is on fire. And obviously Mob, knowing the kind of guy he is, he's worrying and stuff. And he wants to know what's happened. So obviously he doesn't know what's happened, right? So he goes inside the house, and then he's just like talking to himself, trying to reassure himself about that his parents would never let a fire happen. Then he's like, oh, my dad's home, he's really careful and stuff. And he just goes through his mom, his dad, his brother. And I guess he's trying to reassure himself that no one's really hurt. And they're safe, stuff like that. He's in disbelief that his house is on fire. But then, so it was such. Even I found it quite painful to watch actually. It's the part where he opens the door and he just sees like some burnt body, which I assume is his family. I really hope that it's just like a carcass or something, not his actual family. But we just see, but obviously Mob thinks is that his family has been burnt alive, and I quite like how Dimple tries to protect Mob from himself. Actually, tries to help shield the fact that his parents might be burnt to death, which was pretty nice of him. Whereby saying, "Oh, Mob, close your eyes now, don't look." But it was too late at that point because Mob does look, and this is probably the first time I've seen him this angry. We see the numbers of his anger reach 100, and it keeps on going and going until it reaches infinity, and you can see the anger in Mob's face. This is his life. This is like this is as close as home as you can hit Mob, to be honest. And that was pretty crazy, and like it left quite an emotional impact on me as well, because family's always been a big thing for me as well. So I was like, wow, that must feel really bad for Mob. But yeah, this was it for my catch up. I guess it was a bit sloppy, but it'll do for now. I'll probably release another one soon. Bye.